This is Judge Joe Brown, and first I'd like to state my appreciation to the Black Employees Association for the recognition they have extended to me. I am very pleased with the honor. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Egan's, or Attorney and Mrs. Egan's, for cluing me into this, and I'd like to say Brother Egan's, Brother Ted, and I say that literally because we used to be known all through high school as the unidentical twins. Now, a lot of what you hear me say on a day-to-day basis on my show, I got from Ted 40 years ago. Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Brother Egan's. Actually, 45 to, oh man, this is wild, 48, 49 years ago. It's been almost 50 years. But your theme, a framework for fairness beyond 2012, is a very interesting theme, and I'd like to offer my suggestions as to a project for the Black Employees Association. You obviously have a work ethic if you are a member of the organization and you are employed. You obviously have some education, some ability to read and write, and most likely you are pretty advanced in the academic line of things. But there's so many in the neighborhoods and communities around and about Los Angeles that are not. Too many young males who have not had their band training nor male ritualization, and they do not know how to become men in their society so they can make where they are a better, safer, more prosperous and orderly place filled with ethics and morality and make it a good place to live. They don't know about those things, and they behave as though they are little cannibals running around destroying their neighborhoods and preying upon elderly, youthful, and female victims. It's a shame. So I'd like to ask you to dedicate yourselves to reaching out and bringing them into your places of employment, bringing them into the employment field, and letting them escape the things that we have set up in our society to deal with the lack of accommodation that our leadership has showed to the demands of computerization and industrial technology. That's going to lead to a very bad crunch in our future when so many of the ordinary people who have been used to working hard with an expectation of getting ahead in life find that there is nothing for them because they have been made obsolescent by high technology. We don't have any planning, we don't have anything online or contemplated to do something about that. And that has resulted in a very deplorable situation that I was involved in for a long time. Our criminal justice system has morphed from a device to control crime into a labor control device. If you understand that labor might be considered a commodity, and as with wheat, corn, cotton, or anything else, when you have a glut in a commodity market, the price of the commodity drops, and that causes a lot of unrest. In this case, the cost of the commodity is the working wage, and what is the ultimate objective is to prevent too many Timothy McVeighs from, in the future, blowing up the equivalent of a courthouse in Oklahoma City. So there are generally three things that are done. You cut back production of the commodity, store the surplus, and you subsidize the would-be producer to keep him or her from producing the commodity. Well, the criminal justice system stores the commodity in a jail or penitentiary cell instead of a grain silo. The subsidy is the welfare check, and the cutting back of production is when the youth, without proper direction, guidance, principle, acculturation, or socialization, behave in dysfunctional matters. They get pregnant too early, too often, or impregnate thusly. They don't get education or fundamentally viable training. They have inappropriate attitudes, outlooks, way of carrying them styles, and value systems. So essentially, they become unemployable, and then they, in their lawlessness, wind up getting put through the mill of the criminal justice system and transported into it, locked up, get felony records, become infamous, and cannot vote, so they can't behave in a collective fashion to get political redress. They make their communities chaotic, and everything basically goes to hell. And meanwhile, it's a $1 trillion high-growth industry, feeding them, clothing them, transporting them, providing communications and such like when they're locked up. That is a bad situation, and that's got to stop. So the first thing to do is intervene so that the young men want to become men and do those things that men have done. The young women learn how to behave as ladies so they will, with so many of these young boys and girls that they have with no husband and no family, at least get apprised of the necessity for raising them correctly. We have to intervene and do something, and that's what we need to do to move on beyond 2012 before it is too late. I'd like to thank you for being honored, and Attorney Egan's, much thanks, my brother, for what we've been through in life. It's been one hell of a run, hasn't it?